50 years ago, Cesar Chavez founded the United Farm Workers. When Chris Christopherson, the singer, found out, he called the United Farm Workers Foundation and said, "I want to help, I want to participate." He's having a special concert here on June 22nd at the San Jose Civic with the Tex Maniacs. We're going to play a video clip of the Tex Maniacs. But in celebration of the 50 years, we sat down with Paul Chavez to reminisce about those 50 years.
Well, you know, it's extremely large. You know, many people thought that it couldn't be done, that you could not establish a union for farm workers because they were too poor and they were immigrants. And what my father showed and what the leadership has continued to prove is that it can be done, that sí se puede. And so we're here celebrating 50 years of struggle. You know, I know that even during my father's lifetime, the union was written off 2 or 3 times. But you know, the thing that my father always reminded us of, and it's something that we take to heart, is that, you know, he said that you only lose when you give up. That you only lose when you refuse to get up and continue the struggle. And when you look at the leadership and the folks that are involved in daily work, we're committed today, just like the founding delegates were committed when they started this in 1962. You know, the thing about this work is that is that the work never ends. You know, there's victories and there's setbacks. You know, in the civil rights movement, there was the old saying that you have to fight for justice every day, and that's what we find in the fields. You know, we're proud of our successes in the past, but we also recognize that there's a lot of work to be done, and that's why it's important that we come here, we celebrate our 50 years anniversary, but also, more importantly, that we can recommit ourselves to representing and organizing farm workers throughout the country. You know, the organizing helps. Sure, it helps when you have a lot of luminaries and celebrities and politicians that come out and support us, and it's always important. It gives us a shot in the arm, but you know, the work is done on a daily basis out in the fields, talking to workers, and so, you know, we have a good delegation of farm workers here today. We expect more over the weekend because that's when farm workers have their days off. But you know, there was an announcement this morning that up in the Stockton area, 800 workers just signed have a tentative agreement for a new collective bargaining agreement. This is a struggle that has gone on for over 15 years, and they stuck with it, and they showed that if you never, ever give up, you can win. Mira, es importante porque había mucha gente que decía que no se puede, que los rancheros eran muy poderosos y nosotros éramos muy pobres, ¿no? Indefensos. Pero yo creo que si miramos el ejemplo de mi papá, pues nos enseñó de que si uno no deja de luchar, siempre se puede ganar. Mira, es cierto que ha habido muchos fracasos y ha habido algunas derrotas, pero el chiste es de seguir peleando. Estamos siguiendo los ejemplos de mi papá y Dolores Huerta, y aquí estamos así al lado del pie del camión, como se dice.
We were not known, and no one would come to our support. We were hungry and frightened and in need of help.
There was nothing flamboyant, nothing flashy about Cesar Chavez, just a man on a national crusade for a cause many questioned.
Oh, they thought he was crazy.
Rita Chavez Medina is Cesar's older sister. In her brother, Rita says she saw a man who ignored the doubters because he knew firsthand how much the farm workers needed him.
He was always thinking about the farm workers in the field. Some of them didn't have anywhere to live. And we lived that way, under the tree and a tent, and an old house by the cows, the horses, everything. That's the way we lived when we were farm workers.
Chavez formed the United Farm Workers of America in 1962. There were death threats, and Cesar put his safety in the hands of his 2 German shepherds, one named Boycott, the other named Huelga.
He believed that service to others was important, and also he believed in public action, volunteerism, and nonviolence, and that's the best way to honor Cesar. Remember those values.
Cesar died 19 years ago, but his legacy continues. Streets and buildings are named after him. There is a campaign for a national holiday in his name, and on May 5th, the Pentagon unveiled the USNS Cesar Chavez, a cargo ship named after the Navy veteran.
There was something out that I'll never forget. It was beautiful, beautiful. I could feel him there. I could feel spirit, you know, at that time.
The UFW today continues its fight for farm workers, some who've died from heat-related illnesses in the fields.
We need to be committed to assisting farm workers because the struggle continues.
Struggle that's on the agenda at the UFW's 50th National Convention. The convention is also a celebration of Cesar's legacy, a man who's still in the minds of many.
every day.
And in celebration of the United Farm Workers 50th anniversary, Chris Christopherson and the Tex Maniacs, a special concert at the San Jose Civic Auditorium, downtown San Jose. Make it a nice tardeada. Come out and join the festivities. Call Ticketmaster or log on to Ticketmaster.com for more information. We'll be back and speak with Arturo Rodriguez, the president of the UFW, when we continue. Stay with us. He took over as president for Cesar Chavez of the United Farm Workers. Arturo Rodriguez sat down with Comunidad del Valle a short while ago to talk about the 50th anniversary and about that special concert with Chris Christopherson and the Tex Maniacs.
You know, Chris Christopherson is a legend, and he's always been there to support the farm worker now for decades. And when he heard about we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the United Farm Workers, he said right away, he called us up and said, I want to donate several concerts to raise funds for your organizing work. And we started talking with Chris, and so now during the month of June, we're going to do 6 different concerts in 6 different cities throughout the state of California, thanks to Chris Christopherson. You know, right now we have legislation introduced into the state legislature here in California to be able to control the heat deaths that are taking place here for farm workers when they work out in the heat, when it's 100 degrees plus temperature out there, and their bodies get extremely hot because of the fast pace that they work. We're hoping that this legislation will enforce the laws that exist to protect farm workers and ensure that growers and farm labor contractors don't continue violating the rights of farm workers and treat them with the respect and dignity they deserve. Well, this is where Cesar Chavez began his work back in the 1950s with Father McDonald at Guadalupe Catholic Church. And so there's a lot of history here. He came out of the barrio, the neighborhood, Sal Si Puedes, and he began working first of all with the community service organization. He, along with Fred Ross at that time, built a network of community service groups throughout the state of California. And it was from there that Cesar Chavez really got his inspiration to go out and to organize farm workers here in the state of California and throughout the nation. And it was through those humble beginnings as an organizer that he learned the power of bringing people together, of uniting behind a cause about an issue that was important to the community. And as a result, the National Farm Workers Association was born in 1962 that soon afterwards became the United Farm Workers. Oh, there's a tremendous amount of work to be done, but there's been so much that's been accomplished because of all the support, all the help that we've gotten from people throughout the United States over the years. And the boycotts and the marches and the protests in front of the supermarkets, all that has really begun to change things for farm workers and give them minimum wage coverage under state and federal laws, give them working compensations and unemployment insurance when they're not employed, and a host of other good legislative changes that have been made. And in addition to that, because of the contracts that farm workers sign with employers, we have the first medical plan for farm workers and the first pension plan for farm workers, and much better working conditions out there in the fields during the heat, during the winter days, whatever their work. Cesar Chavez was one of the primary civil rights leaders in our nation. He fought along with Martin Luther King and so many others and learned from Mahatma Gandhi the whole importance of utilizing nonviolence as a way to bring about change, as a way to get people engaged and involved and participating. And so all of that has come together really to create a movement that we have today that has accomplished a lot in the past, and we have a lot to be proud of and but so much to continue to do. And we know that and we understand that. And so as a result, we continue planning and working with people and ensuring a better future for farm workers and to ensure food safety for consumers today. Because we know that our issues are not just important for farm workers, but we also have to think about the consumer and making sure that that food is safe and that it's tested and that it's harvested in such a way that it's going to protect children as well as adult consumers here, not only in the United States, but throughout the world. Los trabajadores del campo están celebrando su 50 aniversario y esta es una gran celebración porque es algo histórico. Y también los trabajadores están enseñando la importancia realmente de mejorar los sueldos y condiciones de trabajo. Y la manera de cómo hacer eso es organizarse, tener sindicato, tener representación. y queremos agradecer a todo el público que siempre ha luchado y ha apoyado a nosotros a través de los 50 años. Sí se puede.
And there is the information for the 50th anniversary celebration, a special concert in San Jose with Chris Christopherson, the Tex Maniacs, June 22nd, San Jose Civic Auditorium. There is a website where you can get your tickets. We'll be back and listen and watch the Tex Maniacs. You're going to love these guys. And we continue. Stay with us. Don't forget that concert, June 22nd, San Jose Civic Auditorium with Chris Christopherson and the Tex Maniacs. In fact, we do have some video of the Tex Maniacs that we wanted to share with you. These guys are awesome. Buenos días.